Thank you for coming. This is the third of the series of films that we are holding on the two important days on our calendar, April 24th and September 21, Independence Day. I think this coming September 21, maybe we'll do a Qarabağ-focused film festival. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's the least we can do. Today's films are a conglomeration of films by different producers, many of them from the Turkey-Armenian Cinema Platform, which Cigdem Mater heads. Cigdem is a friend. She's a Turk, lives in Turkey, and together with Susanna Harutyunyan. Susanna Harutyunyan in Yerevan has been heading the Turkey-Armenian Cinema Platform for nearly 10 years. I just want to say something about what you do and connect it to the three films we just saw. The first film, I think, reminded us about how real a place Ani is. It's not just this, Yerazayin dream sort of psychological, emotional place. The second film reminded us that there really are Armenians who live their lives as hidden people all day, every day, and have been for 100 years. When we say survivors, we really should be remembering them, not just us. And the third one tried to remind us that that closed border really is a mess. It's a real issue. And what you do is really real, too. You try to, in the midst of closed border, no diplomatic relations, hard to come and go, you try to bring together filmmakers and tell them to tell their story. Is that easy or is it hard?
Well, it depends. Thanks for the invitation.
Please.
It's great to be here. What we are trying to do, actually, we are trying to dig tunnels in a place where there's no diplomatical relations, where two countries do not recognize each other. It's not easy, but it's not hard on the other hand. We started to work with Armenia in 2005. It was before the assassination of our dear friend, Hrant Dink. And actually, he was one of the gate opener for us. I used to work in an NGO called Anadolu Kültür. Some of you maybe heard about it. It's one of the NGOs who's working with Armenia since the beginning of 2000s. And at the very beginning, what we've been just trying to do is to create a kind of a cultural bridge between two countries. And since 2007, we just started after the assassination, we are cooperating with Golden Apricot Film Festival. And it's not only the platform that we are supporting, but also we are trying to create opportunities for the filmmakers from both countries to show the films in the other one. So it's hard, it's easy, sometimes painful, sometimes joyful. So it's like
Have you
the life.
seen an evolution in the topics? I mean, I noticed that in this last batch of films, they're not specifically genocide related.
Well, it's like when we started in 2007, actually most of the applications that we received, let me tell you very briefly what we are doing. We are doing 2 calls per year to the filmmakers, both in Armenia, Turkey, and also the diasporas, to make films. We are not supporting with huge amounts. We are just giving like $10,000, euros, whatever. But we are giving good in-kind contribution as well to the films. At the very beginning of the platform, most of the applications that we received were about the genocide from both sides, from the Turkish filmmakers, Armenian and Kurdish filmmakers as well. But what I see on the years is like the subjects are changing. I think now it's like, under quotation, easier to speak about genocide in Turkey. So the filmmakers from Turkey kind of finish the subject and they're just trying to look to the other parts. Now you're gonna watch a film called Diyar, for example, from a Kurdish filmmaker whose roots is Armenian that she discovered. So now it's more like looking back to the roots and border issue, for example. This year, I think we're gonna turn back to Karabakh. So
It's almost ironic because there's a segment in Turkey, specifically in Istanbul, and of course in the east, in the Kurdish parts, that have no issues. They understand the reality of the genocide. They live its consequences, and they have no problem tackling it. And for them, this is almost, as you said, it's like they did that, they're moving on. And the irony is then there's the whole rest of the country and, of course, the government that is still so far from understanding and tackling the responsibilities and the consequences.
They are, but on the other hand, I just trying to feel like optimistic. Do you remember our tour to these universities in
Yes,
Anatolia last
yes.
three years ago? Well, we organized a tour of our films to the Anatolian cities 3 years ago, and Salpi was very kind to join us on
Kind,
this.
she was thrilled. And we took two films, Nigol Bezcan's I Left My Shoes in Bolis, which we don't have today, but it's been shown in LA, and Gülen Gül's film, Don't Forget,
Do not get lost, children.
which you're going to see just a
Yeah.
little bit later.
Yeah, it's
and
about
the two
the
filmmakers
Armenian camp. Yeah,
and we.
yeah, and we were in two university cities. Sorry, two university campuses. One is Eskişehir, where Armenian used to live, and the other was Ankara. And in both campuses, we had, after the screenings, we had these meetings with the students, and actually these two films takes almost more than 2 hours, and we even didn't stop after the screenings because we couldn't be sure if they will leave or not for the discussion. So I just wanted not to stop. And there's an expression, smoking like Turks. So no one left. They even didn't go for a smoke break. And then we stayed like 3 hours talking about what happened in 1915. And people on the stage were very okay to use the G word. So everyone was speaking about the genocide, but I couldn't be sure in a city like Eskişehir, Mid Anatolia, how it will be received. And we just spoke, and everyone somehow joined the conversation. They were like 20, 21 years old, which we call actually Gezi effect, the spring and summer of 2013. It was just after this. But I think things are a little bit more easy to be spoken in these days. Not in these days, in those days, but now because things are again changing. I think it's thanks to Hrant Dink that he, with his life, and that opened a kind of a gate.
It's really more difficult now, isn't it? Not because, this is my understanding, tell me if I'm right or wrong, not because suddenly, for those who have been acknowledging genocide, suddenly it's not okay to say it. That's not the problem. The problem is Turkey's own political problems are so urgent and such, I'll say it, you can agree or disagree, such terrible changes are going on that it's as if the Armenian issue is, if it was never on the top 10, today it's not in the top 50.
Well, yes and no. It was never on top 10, top 50, yeah, at some point. We've been just starting to speak about it. But now it can very easily come back to top 10 because of the Karabakh. So things are very fragile in these days. Actually, I don't know how it looks like when you are looking from here to Turkey, but we had a kind of a dream between, let's say, 2007 and 2013, 14. Actually, until 15, until the first elections that we had last year. But what's going on since then, it's a little bit so much complicated. First of all, the war on Kurdistan started again. So the church that you saw on the second film, Sırp for 2 months we didn't know what happened there because the place that also Sırp is in Diyarbakır, in Dikranagert, the neighborhood called Sur, was under the curfew of the Turkish army. And for 2 months, the only pictures that we had from the area, not only from the Armenian church, but also from the other places, were the pictures that the special forces of the Turkish army shared from their Facebook and Twitter accounts. And the only picture, for example, personally I saw on Facebook was a special forces soldier who, with his guns, who sits just in front of in the middle of the church and writes. I don't remember exactly what was the words, but obviously wasn't good things. So now it's kind of I think the church now needs another 1 million to be restored
Again.
again. So not only this church, there was two other church.
And this is, I'm going to interrupt you, this is the church that was restored by Diyarbakir municipality as well as money from individuals, mostly Armenians from Turkey.
Yes, actually, the Armenian community mostly funded it, but the Diyarbakir municipality, as much as they can, they funded, and not only in cash, but they also contributed in kind because they sent all these trucks and everything so that they can clear the area. So things are changing. This war restarted, and Salpi sent me a message last week for a friend asking what's going to happen on 24th of April this year. First time ever, I think, for the last 10 years, my answer is, I don't know, let me check. Because normally we are doing the commemorations in Taksim Square, in the main square of Istanbul. But after Gezi events, the police didn't let us to do it, so we just take ourselves a little bit back to a street called Istiklal. But then this year, the governor's office said, well, I cannot take the security if you want to do it there, so could you please do it a little bit back as well? So now we are at the end of the street, which is like 2 kilometers far away, the main square. It's not only on 24th of April, but we are like kind of squeezed in everywhere.
I have to ask because we always see something behind something. Do you think this answer is a political answer or is it really a security answer?
Both. It's like on 19th of January, I'm the part of Hrant's Friends in Istanbul, so we are also organizing the commemorations on 19th of January. And this
Which was
year,
the assassination day.
well, which is the assassination day. So this year, and we are doing almost the same thing every year. We are starting to march from Taksim Square to the building of Agos newspaper, which is like 3.5 kilometers max. And it's a kind of a ritual. So we are not asking any permission from the state, and they're not saying anything, actually. It's just like a walk. But this year, every year we are doing kind of a security meeting with the governors. And this year they said, well, there's a security issue. And when it comes to the table in the meeting, I said, okay, I'm not going to buy this because it's very easy to say it's a security issue so that we are not allowed to walk and just they're going to squeeze us in front of the newspaper. And this is one of our main thing that we do for Hrant. Just the day after, a suicide bomber blew up himself in Sultanahmet Square, an IS guy. So then I lost my
confidence
to say that, no, we have to walk, because it's like you cannot take this risk for thousands of people. So actually my answer is same for 24th of April, because I cannot take the risk of all these people who's going to come to the commemoration. So I think there is a security issue, but I think at the same time that the Turkish state mind is using this. So,
although I would love to continue to talk about this for a long time, let me ask you another question about the films, and then let's go back to the films. The audiences for these films. I know that in the Armenian world, we're always looking for audiences because I think most people don't know the cinema platform exists and don't really get a chance to see the short documentaries. What's the audience in Turkey? Who sees them?
Well, actually, in Turkey, I have to say the film festivals are great to spread the word and the films. So we are showing the films. Armenia-Turkey Cinema Platform so far supported 18 films. And 13 of them are already finished. 5 of them are on still the production phases. So I have to say that all our 13 films were screened in all over Turkey, mostly in the film festivals, then at the screenings at the universities, by film clubs, by student clubs. So Ziazan, for example, is one of the most famous ones because it has been received 2 awards in Cannes Film Festival. So
this last one, the
chocolate one, yeah. And it's very special for us because it's a Turkish director who shot the whole film in Armenia. So only the director and the producer are from Turkey, but the rest of the crew is from Armenia. So that's what actually we are perfectly looking for. We are just when we said that we are supporting co-productions between Turkey and Armenia, that's what we are looking for. And they all received very well in everywhere actually, and they are a kind of a tool to start a discussion. And I'm still receiving some emails because people are just showing without permission, even in some places, some of the films. So people are just finding us and sending us some emails saying that, well, that's the first time that I'm thinking about this, etc. So it's like it goes really well.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us permission to use the films that we're using. And thank you all for coming. We have 3 more films, one more interesting than the other. No, 2 more films. Clara?
Yeah, 2 more.
2 more. One more interesting than the other. Please stay. Thank you, Cigdem.
Thank you.